The Third Legion and Anti-Legion started to brawl, each member focusing on one. Most members were evenly matched, resulting in some Third Legion members losing, and some Anti-Legion members losing. At the end, only Surplus and his deodorant's last surviving remnant named Deodorizer remained. Surplus swallowed Deodorizer whole, but Deodorizer burnt a hole in Surplus's stomach, and removed all of his bodily hair. Surplus was blinded with pain, allowing for Deodorizer to hit him with more and more shots, until Surplus was on the brink of death. Deodorizer put his foot on Surplus, and asked him if he had any last words. Surplus said that he would tell Deodorizer a riddle, and if he would not be able to answer then he should spare Surplus. Deodorizer agreed, and Surplus asked him the following riddle: what can eat, sleep, and walk but has no life? Deodorizer was stumped, so he let Surplus go. However, Deodorizer took all of the other Third Legion and Anti-Legion members to his base, telling Surplus that all of his friends would be imprisoned. As he teleported away, Surplus realized his mission was now to save his friends. First, however, he would need to rest since he had about 13 milligrams of blood left. After a few picoseconds of rest, Surplus ruined Christmas and tried to teleport to Deodorizer. He tried, but it seemed that Deodorizer's base was surrounded by an anti-magic force field. Not only would he not be able to teleport to it, but he would also not be able to use any magical abilities at all when near or in the base. He brute forced his way to the base by teleporting as close as he could, getting slightly further away each time, until he could find the closest non-force fielded area. Once he did this, the base was just in his vision. He crossed the border of the force field, and felt that he couldn't use his magic here. After a quick, peaceful stroll he stole an old woman's car. He ended up at the front gate. The base resembled a large, dark castle with streams of lava flowing throughout the entire thing. Surplus rammed his head into the door until he broke it down, and entered the main entrance. The entrance was a grand hall of sorts, but with deactivated robots slumped over across the carpet. As Surplus continued, he accidentally stepped on a pressure plate, activating all the robots and slamming the gate shut. The robots all started to rush towards Surplus, with things such as laser beams, buzz saws, and flamethrowers. Surplus came prepared, however, and reached into his bag. In his bag, he took out a water gun that shot out Rutherford B. Hayes, 19th President of America's rather magnificent beard in a liquid form. This was effective and waterlogged and destroyed almost every robot it came in contact with, but quickly ran out of ammo. Surplus tried to reach into the bag again, but a robot cut his hand slightly. This enraged Surplus, but also gave him an idea. He ripped off the robot's arm, which maintained a buzzsaw on the end and still spun. Surplus cut through the robots, splitting most in half. Eventually, while he sustained minor injuries and his buzzsaw broke, Surplus had utterly destroyed every robot. He ruffled through all of their remains, and eventually found a key. With this key, he opened a door in the wall on the back wall. Once opened, other than the occasional robot, there was very little security. The base was more akin to a palace by now, and while massive, Surplus had eventually explored the entire base. He did not find anything, and was confused. He decided to recheck the throne room, so he found his way back and began to search. He found a keypad on the bottom of the throne, and inputted several numbers. After some time, he eventually found the correct combination, 4761. Surplus thought of the square root of this and laughed, before entering the trap door that had opened. The rest of the mansion was in peak condition, but this trap door led to a tunnel system that seemed ancient. It was extremely dirty, dusty, infected with bugs, spider webs were all over the place, and the walls, floor, and ceiling were essentially falling apart. Surplus continued to explore the tunnels. It seemed to be a maze. After hours of searching, he had finally found a staircase. He went down this staircase, which led to a massive hollowed-out underground area, with magma pouring down the walls and filling up the floor, resulting in a literal lake of lava. There were prison cells on rocks that were not submerged by lava, each containing a member of the 3rd Legion. Surplus navigated the rock, and attempted to break the cages of his friends. The cages were too strong, so he had to pull things out of his bag. Most things did nothing, with only one being useful at all. It was a sword with pictures of an anime version of Barack Obama on it, which was able to slice through their cages. Once Surplus had freed all of his members, the door to the staircase closed behind him, and all of his teammates disintegrated. Surplus was confused when Deodorizer and every member of the Anti-Legion appeared. They explained that this was a trap, and all of Surplus's teammates here were clones that had a collective power level and IQ of 12. All of the members of Anti-Legion started to attack Surplus, overwhelming him. He tried to cut through them with his anime Barack Obama sword, but it did little damage. Surplus had a plan to use his sword's secret function. While his sword would become a regular sword for a while, he could use it to summon anime Barack Obama. He did this, and anime Barack Obama-Chan for short, then kicked every Anti-Legion member in the shins, causing them to fall into and disintegrate in the lava, which turned out to be infobit lava. Deodorizer absorbed their remains and power, and started to chase Obama-Chan and Surplus, who were tunneling with Obama-Chan's fire eyes and laser breath. Obama-Chan and Surplus tunneled in every direction to confuse Deodorizer, as well as setting everything on fire as they went through. Deodorizer eventually caught up to them, but Surplus and Obama-Chan used all of their remaining power in one massive laser beam, utterly destroying Deodorizer's castle. Everything started to collapse in on them, as they all were both crushed by the rubble. This was more dangerous than normal, not only because they didn't have any real magic powers because of the force field, but also because the castle was powered with an insane amount of energy, and had infobit lava running all throughout the castle. Eventually, Obama-Chan, Surplus, and Deodorizer were all lying in the debris of the castle. Surplus was the first to regain consciousness, so with the last of his energy and life tugged himself and Obama-Chan out of the rubble. He fell back into unconsciousness soon after. When he woke, he and Obama-Chan were both conscious and had regained their power. The force field had been weakened, so they could use some magic here. They used this magic to get outside of the force field where they could use all of their powers. They concentrated the power of 700 hectoverses into one beam, destroying the force field. They had also become much more powerful by now, so they snowballed by absorbing more and more verses, until they were extremely powerful. They teleport the body of Deodorizer to them, and woke him. Deodorizer, essentially dead, asked Surplus what the answer to his riddle is. Surplus told him that the answer is something, and began to charge up a beam to fire at Deodorizer. Deodorizer had one final idea, which he used. He summoned the pieces of Molten Beast directly out of Surplus, and merged with them. Surplus viewed this as strange, as while Molten Beast and Deodorizer had their bodies, powers, and souls merged into one, this would not have really helped them. Surplus fired his laser at this merged being, obliterating it. He then used his magic to teleport all of the 3rd Legion to him, and they told him that they were actually just on the roof of the castle. Obama-Chan joined the 3rd Legion, and they carried on. However, the merged being between Molten Beast and Deodorizer, named Deodor Beast, idea did work. His plan was that with the true rage of all the spirits contained in Molten Beast and Deodorizer combined would have enough power to astrally project their unified consciousness. Before Surplus destroyed their physical form, they did this and were now surviving as a ghost in a far-away universe. They were greatly weakened, now not even having enough power to move. They did the only thing they could, and began to absorb the physical matter around himself into himself. He did this until he had enough power to actually absorb more than soil, and quickly began to grow. Deodorbeast eventually gained enough power to absorb entire universes. He did this until he could teleport back to the remains of Deodorizer's castle, and once he was there he absorbed all of the rubble, as well as the barren universe it was located in. The Third Legion went back to where they were, until they had finally reached the location of the coordinates. The message turned out to be true, as instead of a universe, Bob, a building, or anything else that they expected, there was a single, completely normal, unfertilized, chicken egg. They picked it up, confused, until it began to crack. It started to beam out light from the cracks, until the entire shell shattered and light completely exploded for an incredible distance. The Third Legion looked back, and where the egg once was a glowing, small, purple orb. Surplus touched it, and it erased his finger from existence. He regenerated his finger, but the orb seemed to have absorbed it. It grew in the same amount of size that his finger was. This confused the Third Legion even more, until the orb suddenly collapsed in on itself, bringing them with it. They were seemingly in an infinite, dark purple void, falling for eternity. In this dimension beyond dimensions, where time and space intertwined in a cosmic dance, Surplus and his companions found themselves trapped in a mysterious void. The very fabric of reality seemed to unravel in this enigmatic realm, leaving them in a state of perpetual uncertainty. Surplus, with his celestial armor gleaming, stood alongside the rest of the Third Legion and a new ally, Astral Alaric, a star navigator with the ability to chart paths through the cosmos. They found Alaric upon entering, and while he did not communicate he clearly was helping. Together, they were determined to unravel the secrets of this dimension and find their way back to the tangible realms they knew. The void was not a place of darkness but rather a canvas of shifting shadows and ethereal whispers. Time moved erratically, and the very ground beneath them felt like cosmic mist. Surplus brandished his celestial sword, its glow pulsating in tandem with the irregular rhythms of the void. Their journey through the mysterious void led them through kaleidoscopic landscapes that defied the laws of physics. Bridges made of stardust spanned gaps between floating islands, and nebulous creatures emerged from the cosmic fog, observing the intruders with curious eyes. Basho, the sage of language, began deciphering the cryptic symbols etched into the fabric of the void. The others followed Astral Alaric, who navigated based on the subtle energies emanating from distant stars. Every step they took felt like a venture into the unknown. As they delved deeper into the void, they encountered echoes of forgotten memories and glimpses of possible futures. The boundary between imagination and reality blurred, and Surplus realized that the void was not just a place but a reflection of the uncharted realms within themselves. At the heart of the void, they discovered an ancient cosmic gate, a portal to traverse the boundaries between dimensions. But unlocking it required a harmonious convergence of their unique abilities. With a united effort, they channeled their strengths into the cosmic gate, and it responded with a kaleidoscope of colors and energies. The very essence of the void seemed to respond to the resonance of their beings. The gate opened, revealing a dazzling corridor of starlight. As they stepped through the gate, the mysterious void released its hold on them. They emerged into an unfamiliar night sky, stars twinkling above them. The void had tested them, forcing them to confront the unknown both outside and within. Surplus and his friends, forever changed by their journey through the mysterious void, looked up at the stars with newfound appreciation. They had ventured beyond the realms of comprehension and returned as cosmic voyagers, bound by the shared experience of escaping the enigma of the infinite void. But still, they did not know where they were. They were in an empty, sprawling field with nothing but small changes in elevation, grass, and stars. They looked around, but the field just endlessly continued. They decided to fly up, and realized that the stars were not real. Just a few 100 feet up, they were a sort of blanket that appeared to be stars. They broke through the blanket, which led to a white void. They tried to enter the void, but they just couldn't, almost like there was a wall protecting the void. Suddenly, after they broke the blanket, the entire realm began to collapse in on itself, tear apart, and burn up. Once the destruction had engulfed them, they were teleported to yet another realm. This time, there was another stone pillar in the center of a small island, completely surrounded by a black void. They read the message engraved, from Lanrit. It stated that Bob was now back at Surplus's home, and that the egg was there instead of Bob because the person Lanrit was working with swapped it there to stop the 3rd Legion's progress. After Surplus finished reading this out loud, he and the rest of the 3rd Legion were instantaneously teleported back to Surplus's home, where they found Bob, clearly shaken up. They asked him what happened, and Bob told them that while he was making omelets out of chandelier lights, when he heard a loud explosion. He looked back, and saw a vaguely humanoid figure rush at him, but it was so fast he could not make out any details. When he woke, he found himself trapped in a rift in the Sephoverse, where the egg was placed. He had given up hope, but days later, and a few hours before the present, he was suddenly teleported back here. He had no magic, and only regained magic once the 3rd Legion showed up. Bob joined the 3rd Legion, and now they were unsure of what to do. They had no clear goal in mind, but Lanrit still seemed to be a threat. Vsauce also seemed to be stalking them from a distance. For now they would just go about their lives in Surplus's house like normal, but Beast continued its rampage. It grew further and further in power, until he was absorbing entire Shinoverses like cereal. For reference, every member of the 3rd Legion combined were about as powerful as 100,000 Shinoverses, meaning that while they were still more powerful, Beast was growing, and would soon overtake them. Beast started to reform a new anti-legion. First, since molten beasts' consciousness were from a version of ancient Greece, they tracked down the entire Greek pantheon. They found them, and combined them all into one being, Panthron. Beast made this new being an ally of himself. Beast then found Kirby's uncle's goldfish's aunt's son-in-law's landlord's 3rd cousin twice removed, who joined the anti-legion. Progression had become slow, and they did not know what to do. They likely wouldn't have been able to grow the anti-legion any further, if it weren't for the consequences of the 3rd Legion's actions. After they had absorbed so many universes, countless people were negatively affected, and sought revenge. Most of these people were not powerful enough to do anything, nor be accepted into anti-legion because of how weak they were, but the powerful ones began to flock to anti-legion. Chris McLean, a voracious antechamber, Adam in a superposition trap, William Afton final form, Seymour B. Doofenshmirtz if he didn't put self-destruct buttons on machines or get bullied by a platypus with a hat every day, that one elf that really had something against Santa Claus, Vermont, the 48th ever fan-made geometry-level icon, Lyman from Garfield, Old MacDonald, the exact color of the tip of Squidward's nose in episode 17 of season 5 of SpongeBob, and Pickle Rick's evil twin. All joined anti-legion. Beast sent out every member to absorb more and more universes, including himself. After a long journey, they all returned, and were much more powerful. They found the Third Legion's location with how powerful their new magic was, and teleported to them. The Third Legion realized this, and began to defend themselves. They were about to attack, but Beast trapped them in a realm called Eldoria, where they followed in. In Eldoria, Surplus and his eclectic group of companions faced a formidable threat in the form of the Anti-Legion, a group of rogue sorcerers with dark ambitions. Led by the dangerous Beast, the Shadow Legion sought to harness forbidden, ancient, powers to destroy the Third Legion and take over the Sephoverse. The air crackled with dark magic, and whispers of impending doom echoed through the ancient trees. Surplus's powers were added as an element of levity, a shield against the encroaching darkness. Basho, the Spanish grammarian, devised a tactical plan, outlining the strengths and weaknesses of each member of the Shadow Legion. The rest of the Third Legion, with eyes that could read the constellations, foresaw the patterns of the enemy's movements. As the Shadow Legion approached, cloaked in shadows and dark energy, Surplus and his companions took defensive positions. The first clash erupted at the edge of the Whispering Woods, where ethereal mist clung to the air. The battle unfolded like a cosmic dance, with spells colliding, and swords clashing under the moonlit canopy. Beast, a master of shadow manipulation, unleashed tendrils of inky darkness that sought to ensnare Surplus and his allies. Basho responded with lyrical incantations that disrupted the flow of the dark magic, creating a protective barrier. Obama-chan, armed with the power to rearrange reality with presidential precision, countered the Shadow Legion's illusions, revealing their true forms. Astral Alaric used his celestial energy to amplify the group's defenses, creating a celestial shield that deflected incoming magical assaults. Surplus engaged in a duel with Beast, their swords clashing in a symphony of celestial sparks. With each strike, Surplus channeled the celestial energy within him, pushing back against the encroaching shadows. Basho provided strategic guidance, analyzing the ebb and flow of the battle with his Spanish insights. As the battle raged on, the combined efforts of Surplus and his companions proved too much for the Anti-Legion. The rogue Anti-Legion members, thwarted at every turn, retreated into the shadows from whence they came, leaving the Whispering Woods bathed in the soft glow of victory. With the threat of the Anti-Legion quelled, Surplus and his group stood united under the moonlit sky. The bonds forged in the crucible of battle grew stronger, and the whispers of the Whispering Woods spoke of their triumph. Guided by the celestial light, they vowed to protect themselves from any darkness that dared to threaten harmony.